Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome and thank you so very much for being with us. As you probably know, I am Kim Serafini, if you've been following us or part of our community for a long time now. We have the great honor, privilege, pleasure, actually it's just real excitement to speak to my dear friend, Gunther Mueller today. I am particularly excited because this is going to be a deep dive into what does he actually really believe makes life fabulous, not necessarily just himself fabulous, because that's what I believe he is, but really the journey that we're all on and our roles as positivity practitioners, as really interesting leaders that help other people to transform their lives or transmute aspects of their lives. I could go into a lot of different directions with this conversation, but I'm going to let Benny be our guide. So welcome, Benny, my co-pilot, co-host, my vodcast partner. Let's talk a little bit about Gunther. Other than what is probably not officially in his bio is that he's very generous and has been for us here, introducing us to people, going out of his way. He doesn't have to do that. He's genuinely, sincerely kind, very visionary, can see a much bigger picture and knows how to play his role in that bigger picture. It's a really fascinating journey to be in business with Gunther, and I love it. It's awesome. And we'll find out a little bit more about who he is on a personal level. But Gunther, I'm so excited for this chat we're going to have with Benny. And for all of you who are listening, please do share this far and wide. There's highly likely a perfect nugget, a little precious gem that somebody else needs to hear right now. And you don't know what the effect of that will be, or the consequences and implications, the rippling of whatever it is that they hear that helps them to just enjoy life more, experience more grace, and maybe even just pick themselves up and carry on, or fortify themselves for going in for the rest of the whatever the next steps are. I have no doubt that this conversation will serve you and them, Benny.
Magic. Thanks, Kim. I'll just get on with it. I will say Kim has been in the health optimization space and building these kinds of technologies like Positive Prime for quite a while now. And so the beauty of being on this podcast with Kim is she's got decades of experience and I'm a little bit fresher. So we come at our questions from a different side of things. And I really value being here and having you, Gunther, on the podcast. So let's take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, both Benny and Kim, for inviting me onto this fabulous podcast. I'm super excited to share and contribute in any way that I can.
Awesome, mate. So for all our listeners, Gunther Mueller is an international speaker, coach, and serial entrepreneur across multiple industries and has spent the last decade working closely with over 300 medical professionals, bringing life-changing therapies to their patients, improving their health, vibrancy, and helping them to feel young again. We all want that. Gunther has spoken on stages around the world on the topic of hormonal, nutritional health and wellness, transforming tens of thousands of lives in the process. He lives in Anthem, Arizona, where the theme of the town is life and abundance since 1999, and has 3 amazing kids and the most wonderful partner in life. Gunther loves to bike, ski, kite surf, and hike, and all of this is a testament to his belief in leveraging the quantum physical reality towards creating a life he loves in all aspects. Alongside being a Positive Prime author with his session, Create the Life You Love, Gunther shares the revolutionary magnetic mind method, taking the personal development movement by storm, allowing his clients to turn thoughts into things and become conscious creators while living a life they absolutely love. Lots of things to absolutely love about that introduction and you, mate. So thanks for coming on.
It's like a woo! Let's all turn things into reality based upon our beautiful thoughts and dreams and wishes and hopes and beliefs and so forth. So, Gunther,
Yes.
who are you really? Come on, at your core, who are you really?
Well, since the beginning of consciousness for me, who I have been is someone seeking freedom. So that is probably my highest value, is to be free. And what does that mean? It means different things to different people, but for me, at the base of being free means I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's the word for me is desire. And I think that the spirit is motivated by desire, or the spirit is communicating desire to us. And in many times in life, that desire is suppressed. The way we make decisions about what we're going to do are many times not in alignment with who we truly are. And so I've spent most of my life in the personal development space and spending multiple six figures trying to figure this out for myself. And have at this point in life come to a place where I believe the personal development movement is broken to a high degree, because I'm going to come from the premise that we're not broken and that there's nothing to fix, and that you already possess everything that you need right now in this moment to have it the way you'd like it, to have it be the way you want it to be. And so that's what I mean when you say, oh, creating a life that I love. And I can tell you that most of the people that become clients and that I talk to, and I ask them, what do you want? The number one answer I get is, I don't know. And that is a fundamental problem. You have to know what it is you want, not just what you don't want. And everybody knows what they don't want. And they spend much of their days in what I'm going to call the problem-solving reality. How do I not get that thing? Because people will say, look, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be alone. I don't want, right? And so they go about starting to fix the problem of not being alone and seeking a relationship. Or I don't want to be broke, so I got to figure out a business or something, or get a promotion, or find some way to make more money. But the more energy that you put into the current reality or the current situation, the more it stays, the more that situation continues to manifest itself. And so I'm all about today, the magnetic mind method is, how do you get into what I'm going to call the creator stance, like standing as a true creator, determining in the present moment what you would like tomorrow or next week or next month or next year to be like, feel like, in all of its technical detail. And if you don't have the details, you might create chaos. You might create something that you do not desire. So that's who I am at the core. I am someone that has always wanted to create the experiences, the environment, the feeling that I just have always wanted. And the underlying thing is freedom.
Gunther, one of the things that I know about you is that you spend your time working with, playing with, creating with extraordinary people. You do that as a money man involved in really the venture capital, private equity world. You do that as a businessman in really creating new businesses. You also do that in your personal life and even as a father, right? You literally are all about what are the opportunities that we can bring about and what are the resources we need to leverage to do that. What I find fascinating is you are living the principles that we may have been learning by all the greats, whether we call them the preceding authors and fathers of personal development, self-improvement, et cetera, et cetera. That could be the Napoleon Hills or the Stephen Coveys and now you even work with the Tony Robbins and the Dean Graziosis of the world, right?
Yes.
How much transformation did you actually have to go through to be the kind of person that becomes the person you spend the most amount of time with? You know what I'm saying there, don't you? Did you consciously choose that? Because I think that there are some clues to some of our listeners or viewers about some of the choices that they can make on a day-to-day basis that they don't even know are contributing factors.
Yeah, so we've all heard the saying that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with most, right? And that's true. So, but sometimes that goes in one ear and out the other, and it's like, oh, these are the 5 people I hang out with. But if you don't make a conscious choice, and this is the whole thing about the method, is that we create our reality sometimes most of the time unconsciously. we are not really being conscious about the choice in the present moment. And so to choose the 5 people that you hang out with most is a conscious act. Like, you actually have to be aware of it, and you have to choose. And not choosing is also a choice. So to not choose, you've made a choice. And so throughout my life, let's say 30 years of my business career now, you have a certain set of people that you intermingle with, and then that set gets upgraded, and it gets upgraded, and it gets upgraded. And for most of those years, it was unconscious for me. And there's a word that I learned from Tony, and that is proximity. And so when that word came into my consciousness, and he told a story about proximity, about being around billionaires, being around people that have done it and are doing it, it's just being in the presence of that energy. And I can tell you, the current person that I'm working with on this, what I think to be the next $1 billion shoe line, is going to be disruptive in the shoe business. But he is one of the people that I'm meeting now at this time in my life that thinks, I don't know, 100 clicks beyond where I think today. All right. And so just spending time with someone that looks at abundance and opportunity and his past experience in life and how things have clicked together for him, and hearing those stories and understanding the possibility that life can be that way. And if it can be that way for him and other people that he knows, well, then it can be possibly like that for me as well. So in creating the next level, I think one of the first steps is just to realize that the possibility even exists. And beyond that, that the possibility exists for you. That me realizing that that possibility exists for me opens up that field to step into and choose to take, let's say, obvious action in the direction of that proximity, of being around different people. And then naturally just not having time available for the people that you were hanging out with, not because you don't like them, not because you don't want to be around them and you still see them, but who do you spend time with most? That to me is this magnetism that happens when you start creating and thinking in a certain direction.
Benny, when you're riding those waves, you're surfing, as we do down under, because most of us live on the coastal fringes. I bet you're hanging around with some people who sit on other types of boards, not just surfboards, corporate boards, social enterprise boards, boards of large companies. It's interesting, isn't it? I think from your perspective, how some of us then choose to be in proximity with people that we wouldn't ordinarily go to work with. And Gunther, I know that you, like my spouse, can fly all sorts of aircraft, and you get into these circles that inspire you in entirely different ways because they're out of context for what we think happens inside an office. And you've been doing that now for decades, as has Cameron and Benny and I, but most people don't know that that's even part of the choices that you make. Yes. Right?
Yes. It's, I like to use the analogy of, if I were to bake the most amazing chocolate cake ever, I would need to know the ingredients of that cake. Let's say I go through the whole process and I left out the sugar. That would be a pretty miserable chocolate cake, right? And you wouldn't want to eat it. So in creating the life that you love, in being able to visualize it, see it, does it include helicopters? Does it include airplanes? Does it include private jet travel? Does it include, what does it include? Or do you see yourself, doing this with your significant other or your spouse and spending time together, and that relationship and that friendship and the relationship that you have with your children, and how all that fits into the mosaic of your life? You need to think about that. You need to dream about it. You need to create it, even if only in the imagination first. Because look, I'm going to say anything that's ever been created, and I'm not the first one to say this, has been created twice. Once in the imagination and once in the three-dimensional experience that we're having. So it has to happen here first. You have to see it.
Hey, Gunther, I really need to basically burst in there. Benny doesn't have to be created 3 times in our world. You know this, Gunther. Yes, absolutely, in imagination. And then in visual representations that you upload as personal images into your positive prime session whilst you're connected to the quantum, you're more likely to actually co-create with the universe. I love it. And then in reality, by just who you are organically, because you show up differently and opportunities flow to you and you say yes to different opportunities with much greater ease and speed.
I will say, just to back you up on that, the neuroplasticity of the brain is essential. It is key because we make decisions about how life is very young in life. And that's from parents, from school, from experiences. Every experience that we've had has created some neural pathway or some neural connection in the brain. And those highways in the brain have been well traveled. And if you want a different experience, that's why the positive prime tool is so powerful, is because it is the most effective tool to remap, to disconnect neural pathways and to reconnect new neural pathways that in effect produce a new reality, or even produce new desire, produce new vision, produce new possibilities through that repetition that happens so easily with positive prime.
Yeah, wow. Benny, I know that bubbling deep within you, in your core, there's like a, Gunther, answer this one question for me. I need to know this, and so do our listeners.
Yeah, you nailed it. I've just been enjoying the listening because, especially with the surfing and chocolate cake metaphors, 2 of my favorite things, especially the board metaphor. I'm stealing that one. Sitting with people out in the ocean who are sitting on different boards. Crucial, because it's just that broadening your spectrum on like what you can bring into your field and what creative ideas you can come up with, such as shoes from materials used in outer space travel. Probably got that slightly wrong, but you know what I mean? That's kind of like the out of the box thinking. There's something, as I was searching around the web on you, Gunther, you had a podcast called Vibrant Health Gurus. Yes. And I love words and I love concepts. And there was something that just popped straight out. And you were talking about people having a health destiny.
Yes.
So I'd love for you to expand on what a health destiny is. And then perhaps, I think there's a little thread around what we were just talking about the imagination into the, visualization and seeing it in positive prime sessions, and then into the actual creation.
Yeah. So great question. I love that. Yeah, I did the Vibrant Health Gurus podcast to be sort of an archive of many, many conversations that I had to have over and over and over again. And so I interviewed a lot of great physicians that I work with, just so I could tell somebody, oh, go listen to the podcast, go listen to the episodes, and I don't have to actually verbalize it again. But the health destiny is based on genetics and epigenetics, right? So everybody thinks, things are hereditary, or there have been, cancer in my family history, or heart disease, or whatever it is. And the mind is so important, because if you get it in your mind that you have a family history of cancer and you think that that's coming to get you, you're increasing the chance that it will come to get you, because you're giving energy to that reality, right? That, oh, because my mother and my mother's mother had this, I'm at greater risk to have it. So the genetics of it is, I want to call it your tendency. That if you do the exact same thing that all the members in your family have done for eons of time through the ancestral chain of the DNA being passed down from as far back as you can look, and you have the same habits as, let's say, the 3 generations before you, then are you increasing your likelihood to have that tendency manifested in your life? Yeah, you are. But the epigenetics is what your environment is informing the genetic code on. So think of your genes just like the switches, like your light switch that gets turned on and off, and the environmental factors will go in and light up certain genes or dim certain genes. And that's air quality, water, food, environment, stress levels, hormone optimization, nutrition. It's the whole enchilada that is the impact of the epigenetic reality. So when I say that in the podcast, is to say, look, get your blood work done, optimize your numbers. Don't just say, well, I'm 45 years old now, and this is the way it feels to be 45, and I'm kind of stuck with it, or you're over the hill now, you're over 30, watch out, everything's downhill from here. That kind of nonsense, that kind of brainwave. And so the encouragement in Vibrant Health Gurus is, you can be vibrant till you're 95 or 105 and still ski and mountain bike and kite surf and do these things. That's your health destiny. You're vibrant. Your vitality can be altered if you take obvious action and invest in your body. I mean, I made jokes a lot of times about, people thinking that their health insurance was going to make them optimally healthy. And your health insurance is not designed to make you optimally healthy. It's designed to keep you alive. And you only really get to use it when you get sick. So think of your homeowner's insurance, your auto insurance, your life insurance. If you're here talking to me right now, you're listening, you have not used your life insurance, okay? You only get to use your car insurance when there's a catastrophic event. And you only get to use your homeowner's insurance when there's a catastrophic event. So why do you think your health insurance is any different? You get to use it when you have a catastrophic event. And I think that an ounce of prevention is worth pounds and pounds and pounds of cure. So doing something now to get into that, educate yourself, figure out what's right for you. Not everybody's the same. And what is the obvious action that you can take to alter that health destiny? I would encourage everybody to think on that seriously.
Oh, I want to go super deep here for a second, because Gunther, you and I also know that if you are really awesome taking care of your mental, your physical, your spiritual well-being, and you've got movement and great nutrition and supplementation, and you've got an awesome environment, and you've removed the toxins, and you don't have the hormone disruptors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then a catastrophic event occurs, you are likely to survive it, and then it won't have made you bitter, it will actually have made you better. And so you see these people who go through these extraordinary health challenges and very frightening and scary situations, and they come out stronger, more courageous. It's fascinating, because I actually said this to someone yesterday. Even though I had 6 near-death experiences where I was dead, like my heart had actually flatlined, the specialists were just astonished that I wasn't brain damaged, and that any of the kind of cognitive situations I was going through were so easily and quickly cured or healed because I use positive prime, right? So the rebuilding of my neuroplasticity, when I would have otherwise had a much more detrimental memory problem, except I use this thing called positive prime that is like reminiscence therapy, because I've uploaded all of these amazing photographs of everything and everyone and all the circumstances and situations I'm grateful for, or I'm appreciative of, or I've experienced that I savor, right? The interesting thing is that sometimes when people listen to those of us who are about health optimization, they're shocked if ever we've been through something devastating. Right. Well, I kind of believe that the quantum field gives us something that's devastating for our health, so we have more compassion for others. You know that. I know you know that, right? But Gunther, I think that people then judge us much more harshly when something goes wrong. But what they don't get is that because you've got this incredible infrastructure and all this knowledge and wisdom and muscle memory of experience of optimizing your health, you actually bounce forward higher sooner because of all of that. True?
True. It is. I just in 2022, I had my experience like that. It wasn't near death, but it could have been. And you're absolutely right. The bounce back is tremendous because of the foundation that was laid and the expectation. See, I think a large part of creation is anticipation and expectation for the outcome to actually materialize. If you have something going on in your mind that is anti-expectation, like you can have the greatest desire and you can do the things and dream the things, but if there's that voice on the inside that says, yeah, I want all this, but I know it's never going to happen. I know like that little voice right there needs to be addressed, needs to be handled. And that is a neuro wave that's going on in the mind that speaks that lie. And when you hear that, you have to do something with it. So in my health experience, it could have ended in death. I had a infection in my L2, L3 in the bone, which literally laid me out for about 3 months. I couldn't walk. And here, I've always anticipated myself being Superman. And this thing was my kryptonite. Okay. It like laid me out. And, business and all the things that you have going on, family, and I'm in my mid 50s. I'm 56 years old. This is not supposed to happen to me because I am the vibrant health guru. How can this happen to me? And I'm the vibrant health guru. Well, it was to teach me empathy because I've been a little bit critical of the Western medical model, I think. And I have a different perspective now on people that are struggling with pain because I seriously in my life have never really experienced that level of pain. And having to experience a 10 out of 10 pain for month after month after month. Now, there's plenty of people in the world who experience never-ending pain and constant pain. So I'm thankful and grateful that I didn't have to go through the experience that long. But I do know what it feels like to be debilitated for a time. And what do you do as the vibrant health guru or somebody giving advice? Like, how do you speak to someone like that? How do you share information with someone like that? How do their pathways get rearranged and remapped so that their outcome can be different? This is the question that, Positive Prime answers at a very high level, because anybody can do that. No matter what state you're in, no matter what condition you're in, no matter where you're starting from, you are able to do that. Not only is it extremely affordable, right? It's powerful, and it's the consistency of it that is the magic. I loved your word, Benny, earlier, the magic. That's a great word. Miracles and magic.
Benny, you know that you can just like dive in over the top of me. There's another swimming metaphor for you. Gunther, you know that we serve people who want to make a more significant and meaningful contribution with their lives. They're in service of others. They're helping others. You and I are those kinds of people. So is Benny. So are all the people who are listening. Highly likely they're healers, therapists, they're coaches, they're trainers, they're advisors. They actually enable others and empower others. What do you think are maybe the top few pieces of advice that you've been given, that you've actually applied, that you think, oh, wow, that's definitely something I stand by?
So number one, used the word earlier, was grace. That's a huge one, because in, living in America and all, it's a very driven culture, and the definition of success is very defined to be this driving individual. And we all want to live life that has meaning and purpose and serve others and want to change the world and things like that. But what I've learned in my life is that it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. Now, some people like yourself, Kim, are motivated and driven to do this grandiose thing and literally change the world and have every human on the planet, engage with Positive Prime. But there are many out there that have talents and skills and things to share that they may not have a multi-billion-dollar operation that requires you actually sacrificing your life to create. This is not, big operations do not happen accidentally or without massive energy being put into them. So be careful what you choose, be careful what you ask for, because going for this gigantic meaning and this gigantic purpose may not be who you are. So, there's two things that I think are two questions that need to be answered is, who am I? Number one, who truly am I? Who is it that I say that I am, right? And then really, what is it that I do want? Because a lot of people choose things and it's a stepping stone onto the thing that they really want. And so a big business or a big purpose or a big meaning may be a stepping stone to an egoic need, right? And you didn't really want the big thing, but you thought you had to do the big thing and be the big thing, when really all you wanted was some peace and quiet, being left alone, and some freedom. to do what you want every day, right? So knowing and being okay with, let's say, a meaning or purpose that's not as big as somebody else's, because that's what our culture is forcing us to do many times through social media, is to compare our life, our image, our desire against someone else's. And if we're not doing as much as they are doing, we feel inferior, or there's some part of our mind that says, oh, it's not good enough yet, or it needs to be bigger, it needs to be better. And a lot of times, like, I find myself wanting to be in service of someone else. This is why I can come alongside you, Kim, with Positive Prime, and not have to play some extravagant role or anything like that, or require anything. It's just enough to be a part of it and to contribute where you can, and let's see where it goes. Let's build it. And I think for many people, reflecting on that or contemplating on who they are and what their best role could be, and then experience true meaning and purpose and maintain your health and vitality and create the life that you love. And it doesn't have to be, to the level that someone else might expect of you, or you just expect it of yourself. Other people are more concerned about themselves. They're not really expecting anything out of you, right? And so it's this thing just to be very aware of, why do you do what you do? Why do you choose what you choose? And asking some deep questions around that.
Love it. Perfect. So true, isn't it, Benny?
Yeah, that's brilliant advice, I think. It made me remember a practice that I think a lot of people do at Positive Prime, and I certainly need this as well. And that's what's great about the technology, is to put into your session images that remind you of the things that are important, the things that you've done when you're self-doubting yourself. So it might be that picture of you getting up after, weeks of 10 out of 10 pain. And next time you're feeling a bit off or something, that's just in your field straight away. Oh, there I am getting up after that pain. This is nothing, And I think support, like Kim mentioned before, you've got a beautiful family that you love and beautiful partner, and all these things are like actually so crucial. And we might look at, these entrepreneurs doing all these things. If you actually ask yourself, do I want all that? Do I want to help all the people of the world? Or am I quite happy just being awesome for my family and helping my local community out? Because what we know is that if you help your local community, it ripples. Yes. And that might be the step to that bigger purpose or guide. So I think that's just epic advice for everyone, and myself, like always on these podcasts. And I love the idea of the sort of splitting it between the genetics and the epigenetics as well, to go back to that. That's just so crucial, because I wrote down Positive Prime is an epigenetic technology, which is an interesting concept to dive into. So I'd love to know, how do you use Positive Prime, and how do you recommend it to other people through your coaching?
So, it's been one of the greatest challenges I've had to create the habit of using Positive Prime. And when I look back into my mind, and why that's been a challenge for me, is because there's part of me that says, I think I already know it all and I'm already there. And then I had a conversation with Kim one time, and she's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but you need to do it anyway. Okay, so to create, and to even create more than what you already have, is just do it and upload these pictures of what it is that you desire, what it is you want, and it'll manifest faster. So I already know I'm a manifester. I already know I'm a creator. I already do that. But what's wrong with having a tool? And I had this funky thing that I don't want to be dependent on anything, or I don't want to have to use anything outside of my own space. But again, it's like, well, why not? That's kind of stupid. Why wouldn't you use a tool that's been crafted for you and handed to you on a silver platter? So why wouldn't you utilize that? Is it just ego? Is it just pride? Is it just whatever it is? So I had to get clear on that first, of creating a new habit, and there's a great book out there called Tiny Habits. It's by a Stanford professor, BJ Fogg. I love his formula for creating a habit. And it was finding time on my schedule to actually do it. And sometimes, early in the morning is not the right time for everybody, or you have to find your time where you know that you can actually do it. So Benny, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I wanted to put that in there because for me, it was difficult to actually get started. And then your question was about
how you use it, and then how you recommend it to your clients, because I noticed it's on your website that people can do a 10-day trial.
Yeah, I recommend it because for the same reason that I recommend it to myself is like, why would you not use this tool? If you're coming to me as a coach and you meet with me once a month, once a week, once whenever, right? Whatever you sign up for to have time with me, why would you not use something that you could have every day that is reinforcing the neural code that I'm trying to transform with you? So I look at your identity structure and the sabotaging identities that we all pick up along the way. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I'm not credible. I'm not capable. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not, whatever those self-sabotaging things are, and they could be completely unconscious to us. Why wouldn't you use a tool every day to regroove the record player that's playing for 40 years in your mind or longer to play a different song, to play a different tune through the eye gate, through the ear gate, and have the imagination, have the mind say, well, what if that could be me? Or maybe I can see myself in that picture. Maybe I can see myself smiling and laughing with people that look like they're cool people and funny people and having a good time and eating great food and doing it in different places all around the world. I mean, my favorite part about Positive Prime is just the imagery of places I've never been to in the world. And travel is something that I really love to do. So seeing places that I've never been to before, that's one of the coolest things about it, because the photography is so amazing. It's like watching National Geographic, like with the images and all this stuff. And like, wow, I really want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go there. And it creates a more of a desire to be that, to do that. To have the mindset and be in the mind frame of being that person now, that person that does travel, that person that does have new experiences. I am that type of a person, instead of the self-sabotaging mental pattern, which says, well, that's for other people. That's not for me. I'm not good enough to have that. I'll never be good enough to have that. That's what's shifting when you're in the midst of a Positive Prime session.
Can I also just dive in here, Gunther, because you and I, we understand abundance, right? And people who aren't yet in the abundance vibration of true prosperity and profitability don't understand that profitability is also a concept that you apply to energy. If something costs you more energy than the energizing effect, it could be people who drain you instead of uplift you.
Mm-hmm.
And profitability is also spiritually. If something's going to leave you feeling depleted, right, and that you're not this magnificent child of God, well, then it's not actually in the best interests of your higher self, right? So we don't talk about profitability just from a financial perspective. However, nothing that any of us can do, even on a local level, is separated from the fact that there is a ripple effect. It's the butterfly analogy, that causes the tsunami. And so it's fascinating because when I watch your Positive Prime session, right, I have you, Gunther, here with me in my epigenetic influencing environment, because I see your face. I know that it is of your best intentions for me, the recipient, but you think differently than I do. And why wouldn't I want to be influenced and then have that actually mix and merge with all of my other influences and then decide for myself what it is that I want? And to this point, you and I are perfectly comfortable with private jet travel or helicopters or that which some people would think was consumerism. And yet we're also the kinds of people who get involved in these other projects that are really about supporting ecosystems for all sorts of saving the turtles or the dolphins, all sorts of, and so before we go anywhere, I really want you to talk about your tiny homes business and your desire to create community and something that's sustainable and environmentally healthy and profitable, right?
Yeah.
Profitable in that energetic sense. So
So
let's talk about desires to, be the change that we wish to be and provide the solutions that we need to be the champions for?
So in the United States, everybody has been noticing this wealth gap that's been happening, right? And there was a affordable housing really crisis going on in the United States. This was in early 2022, late 2021. Things have shifted a little bit now, but rents were going crazy where a 2-bedroom apartment might be $2,500 a month, in parts of Arizona here. And I came across the tiny homes, and if you watch tiny homes on YouTube, there's a lot of funky looking ones and chutes and ladders kind of thing, and you got to climb up into your bed. The tiny home that I'm more interested in, the definition of a tiny home is that it's 400 square feet, no more. And the reason for that definition is that it's tagged as a recreational vehicle in the United States, and so you can pull it down the highway behind a pickup truck, and you could move it on your own if you like. So if you go wider than 8 feet, it's no longer a tiny home, it's now a park model. But there's all kinds of expansive land, as there is in Australia. Here in the United States, you can fly over states and there's just land and land and land. Now, you need water and you need utilities. And the idea of community is, I think, the internet is great, and I think social media has its purpose, but I think it's isolated people to a degree where they're just in their device and just in their screen all the time. And I think what people are seeking is to have like-minded people around them, around the campfire, outside, gazing at the stars or something, or sharing a meal together. That's what I think humans really thrive on and want to have. And so tiny home villages and tiny home communities are very attractive to me in that they can be in amazing locations that have lots of recreational opportunities, or they can be close to a major city to commute to a major city, or with the remote worker today, as long as you have a strong Wi-Fi signal and maybe you love the outdoors. So how much time do we actually spend inside our homes that could be very large, and you're on the surfboard all day and you just need a place to sleep? So I look at a home as, you need a place to sleep, you need a place to make your meals, you need a place to use personal hygiene, right? You need a place to Netflix or something to hang out and watch a movie. And that's it really. And the only downside to me of tiny home living is that you can't store 20 years of your stuff in a tiny home. And that's what mini storage is for, right? So you get yourself a storage room, you can store your kayak and your skis and your kites and all kinds of stuff, boom, somewhere else off site, and you can live in this home and change out your clothes. But the thing was the affordability of it. And I've transformed in that now too. We were building out of materials like wood and sheet metal and different things that you would normally build a house out of, to building codes, like to meet the California building code, to meet the Arizona building code, so that they can go in different places. And I'm working now to actually build those homes out of what I think is very sustainable materials of aluminum, and the same material that's going into this disruption shoe is an aerospace material that I'm having the inventor look at housing to build it out of this material, which is basically fireproof, termite-proof, waterproof, and a house that literally can last for 1,000 years or longer, right? Whereas the typical built home, might last 100 years with major maintenance along the way. We could build a home now that is half the weight, can be helicoptered to anywhere, mountaintop or wherever it needs to go, and haul down the highway and have comfortable, clean, safe, efficient living. And you can tie all the systems to it of solar and water generation or thermal heat energy, or I'm working a lot in the hydrogen space right now too, to use hydrogen fuel cells to create electricity in homes, because the output is water and heat. Hydrogen to me is the future of energy because it is the most abundant element on the periodic table of elements in the universe is hydrogen, and it's powerful. It's a powerful substance. I can't believe we have not used it before. So that's the tiny home thing. It's just a beautiful thing of seeing how a home can be built and how affordable it can be and how sustainable it can be. And the whole home can be recycled if you want to recycle the home. And it's just a cool concept. That's why I'm involved in it.
Oh, I love you just brought in recycled just then, because I think that when people go, oh, wow, it'll last for 1,000 years, that's just a lot of landfill. That's a lot of shoes that are going to end up in landfill. No. That is not what's being said, right? So make sure you, if you need to re-listen to this conversation, do, so that you pick up the salient points. Benny,
yeah, and the shoe,
you live in a tiny home.
Well, that shoe is recyclable. This is the shoe. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Benny, you live in a tiny home. And I bet you didn't know that Gunther literally has a factory producing tiny homes. You produce a lot of them, don't you, Gunther?
We're growing into that, and it's not my personal operation. So I'm working with people that, have a real passion for tiny homes. And I look at it as, how do we even improve this? How do we do it even better? How do you finance them better? How do you, make them more available to more people? What is the design that needs to happen with a tiny home? So yeah, it's a large facility here in Arizona that will eventually put out maybe about 80 homes a month is what we're shooting for.
Benny, what's it like living in a tiny home?
So we're moving in this weekend actually. So we're just getting it finished off. And I'll speak to one point, Gunther, about the storage of other things. So, and then just having what you need. I went from almost moving into a tiny home to moving onto a 5-bedroom health resort property with 4 acres and wild gardens and so much stuff for me to look after. And I didn't realize it was my first time living on property. And I'd set the intention to downsize, and then I went. And so what happens when you do that is it takes away your creative energy, because you've kind of blocked a fair bit of space. And so we basically crumbled under the weight last year. And now I'm moving into the tiny home, and it's been a long road, but this weekend we've sold most of our stuff. So we don't have our couches anymore. We don't have all this stuff that I love, because I love my couch, it's my favorite thing. Mm-hmm. But now that I've not got my couch, I've got more space for other things, and that's more space to put in. Like, what other projects can I work on? What do I want the rest of this year to look like? So it's such a potent movement. And I'll also add, I'm thinking about tiny farms. Like, how much space do we need to cultivate enough food to survive in disaster situations, but also just to thrive? So I'm working on that, because I'm actually living on a farm. So I'm really excited. As always, Kim, all of our guests and people in the Positive Prime community have just such a wealth of different things that they're doing, and you find these things out when you have these yarns conversations. So I'm super grateful for this one.
Benny, one thing I would point you to is look how the Netherlands do their farming. They're an amazing food producer with glass greenhouses and LED lighting and just amazing technology over there.
Yeah, very, very clever, especially because they're not like the US or like Australia. They don't have huge wide open spaces like we do. Right. They're doing those things in cities, and amazing.
Yeah. I was watching actually a National Geographic thing. It was called Europe from the Air, and the first episode is on the Netherlands and the whole tulip farming and everything, and how they do what they do. It's so precise and it's so advanced. It was like mind-blowing. I'm like, why aren't we doing this in the United States?
Gunther, you have a special relationship with the Netherlands, don't you?
I do, yes. My son is a professional ballet dancer for Dutch National Ballet, and he's been over there for about 4 years. He left the United States when he was 17 years old. He's 21 right now, and he's had a grand old time living in Amsterdam, and got to go some nice places in Europe in that experience. So yeah, very proud of him for making it really to one of the top 5 ballet companies in the world. So it's a special place for me. I'm going there in March again to see a show that he's in, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Woohoo! Alrighty, so we're talking about March 2023 for those of you who are listening a year down the track, or maybe it's even 2 years down the track. I'm just about to see Gunther in Los Angeles, where he's on the beginnings of filming our TV series or our entertainment series. I don't know what else to call it. I'm super pumped. I'm so grateful. And it's interesting, as a final point from me, and Gunther comment, it's not easy to consciously choose, because it requires consciousness.
Yes.
And that requires being honest with yourself. And I actually do a lot more that's really esoteric now in terms of plugging myself into the quantum field. So I use Positive Prime differently these days. I am the vacuum cleaner. I plug myself into the universe. I switch on and I suck this energy, this life force from the quantum field. And I allow myself to be the conduit for, I don't know, what spirit wants me to be and do. And it's a very different way for me to live and behave and be, right? And so it's a wild ride, but I just want everyone who's listening to understand that it's worth it to do the work.
And work is a 4-letter word sometimes, and so don't everybody think that this is work. It's not work in the traditional sense of work, but it is allowing the space for you to be this vacuum cleaner, to listen to spirit, to be inspired, to really figure out, what is it that makes you tick? What is it that, work no longer becomes work. Work is truly play. And when you become a creator, like, Kim creating this opportunity, and it was like 30 years in the making or 20 years in the making with the producer that you're working with, and we're 30 years. Yeah, a long
30.
time. So, the new patience is persistence. Okay. So, a lot of people will ask for things, in order to be courageous, you have to have courageous situations in which to express courage. In order to be brave, you need situations in order to be brave. So those look like problems, those look like challenges, those look like insurmountable mountains that need to be climbed. But that's why you're a human having a human experience in this 3-dimensional world. If you were just in the spirit world, you wouldn't have to do any of this stuff, right?
Don't worry, you're going to get there again.
Again, you'll get there. But this is the key essential piece, is you have been given the opportunity to be a creator, to be creative. This is who you truly are. And the consciousness or the awareness of that makes all the difference. That when you move through life and you have the perspective of being a conscious creator, life is different. It's happening, completely for you, and the people and the circumstances and the opportunities, the good with the bad. I mean, it's why we play games. It's why we watch sports competitions. It's why we're inspired by those things, because in the human experience, there is challenge. There is things to overcome. You have your mind for a reason, to solve problems, to figure out puzzles, to win, right? It's that experience that is why we're doing this. But yet having grace with yourself to understand that you are who you are, and you need to be focused on who it is that you really are wanting to be. And you don't have to check in with anybody else. You don't need permission from anybody else. You don't need authorization from anybody else. You are this being moving through this experience, and why not make it the best that it can possibly be for you?
That's an amazing place to wrap up with you today, mate. Where can people find out more about the work that you do and follow you, really?
Yeah, I'm not much of a social media person, but I have a website. It's called dreamlifemasters.com. So dreamlifemasters with an S.com. I've got 3 videos on there that are 20 minutes long each, and it explains my view of the quantum physical reality and what you can do to manifest and create the life that you love. First thing is to get on Positive Prime and check out the new session that I put together here. That's taken me a long time to put together. And so I'm glad finally I have something to share with people in the mix of Positive Prime and a session on just creating the life that you love in all aspects, meaning health, abundance, relationships, love, and if there's another bucket, maybe it's the miscellaneous bucket. It's something that, you want that doesn't fit into those other 3 buckets. But look, human desire is actually pretty simple. We run from pain and we seek pleasure. That's it. That's what we're doing every day. And so if it comes in the bucket of relationships and love, and it comes in the bucket of having more than enough resources to do the things that you want to do, and of course, you need health and vitality to enjoy everything that you want to do in life. So those to me are the 3 major buckets that our focus is required in, and to just choose it Choose the way you want it to be. And that's what my session focuses you on, is the power of choice in the present moment.
And the music's awesome as well. I haven't
Thank
heard anyone use that music. You got a bit of hip hop crank in, so you're bopping along. So highly recommend everyone checks it out.
Yeah, that was the Positive Prime team making those suggestions to me. So first class.
Good suggestions, huh? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so very much. As always, we appreciate you listening. We hope that there's been some value. Please do share this. Go check out Gunther. Show up to one of his future events. Make some better choices today about what will literally make you feel like you're alive.
Yes.
Love you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. Awesome hour.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.